Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm just going to wait for a few seconds to allow everybody to come in and get comfortable. We have a very exciting 1 hour session for all of you, and we'd like to make sure that everybody is set, and as excited as we are. My name is Jenny Almaco. I am here with my fellow regional coordinator of EUR-AXES in ASEAN, and that is Dr. Susan Redzovasu. I'm joining you from Bangkok, and she is joining you from Germany. So I'm joining you from Thailand. She's joining you in Europe. And welcome to the EU-ASEAN collaboration in research and innovation. For this particular session, we are going to talk about opportunities in food science, bioeconomy, natural resources, and agri-tech. And this info series on EU funding opportunities is brought to you by EUR-AXES in ASEAN in partnership with the ASEAN Secretariat, specifically the Committee on Science, Technology, and Innovation. And we'd like to thank Dr. Serena Mokhtar, Dr. Vani Narita, and the rest of the team for this exciting partnership. This is the third of a series, and we are very much looking forward to continuing this series with you. For this afternoon session, we are very excited that we have an expert with us who will be discussing to you about the particulars about the Horizon Europe Cluster 6 calls. And there's a lot of topics there and a lot of opportunities there. So we hope that you really take advantage of this incredible platform, to collaborate with EU and ASEAN partners in research and innovation. So just in case this is your first time to be with us, sometimes we get first timers. So I wanted to just introduce to you EUR-AXES, especially EUR-AXES Worldwide, where EUR-AXES in ASEAN is a part of. EUR-AXES is a key EU instrument to foster researchers' mobility and cooperation worldwide. And EUR-AXES in ASEAN is hosting a community of over 30,000 scientists, researchers, research administrators, and business representatives. As we all know, R&I, or research and innovation, is taking place in a transformed global landscape where there's geopolitical stability and, of course, fundamental values, including human rights, are sometimes challenged. And in response to this, the European Union has created a new strategy for international cooperation in research and innovation. And this is Europe's global approach. And this sets out an ambition to cooperate with the best scientists in the world, wherever they are, to produce the best science and turn this into innovations for a better world for all. So for this afternoon and for the succeeding sessions, we want to underscore the role of research and innovation to solve global challenges. The EU talks a lot about the Green Deal and very much committed to that across all sectors of the economy. Of course, we also want to highlight the EU's collaboration with the ASEAN community, and we hope to strengthen this partnership in addressing climate change in the field of research, science, and technology. And of course, we reaffirm our commitment to science diplomacy to promote and engage in multilateral partnerships. If there's anything that the pandemic COVID taught us, it is that we need to collaborate in order for us to really solve our common problems in the world, and in order for us to be able to solve this effectively. So please allow me to just share my screen just to go through what we are going to discuss today and to set the stage, for our discussion. But before that, if even after the hour you have a lot of questions or there are inquiries, on getting partners and also with the other activities of EUR-AXES in ASEAN, please get in touch with us. Dr. Susan Redzovasu is usually based in Singapore, and myself, I'm between the Philippines and Vietnam, and these are our emails. Or you can, of course, scan the QR code if you'd like to get in touch. So for today's agenda, first of all, there will be a presentation of ASEAN COSTI. That's the first thing that we are going to talk about, the Subcommittee on Food Science and Technology. And after that will be the presentation of forthcoming Horizon Europe calls for proposal in the areas of food science, bioeconomy, natural resources, and agri-tech. And this is where we'd like everybody to be active in. And this is, of course, the open forum. We would like to encourage you to ask your questions, find out how to really bridge these partnerships, how to link with institutions in Europe and also in ASEAN and in many parts of the world, as even to create a consortium in Horizon Europe. So at the onset, I'd like to really thank our resident expert for this afternoon, Ms. Serena Borgna, and also the Vice Chair of the Subcommittee on Food and Technology of ASEAN COSTI, and that is Mr. Sai Vicen Bolum. Thank you so much to you both for being with us today. So, of course, you know this already, but I just would like to just make sure that we remember a little bit about a little housekeeping. Please post your questions in the Q&A box where you know where it is. And please use the chat function to inform us if you want to ask a live question or even if you want to be elevated as a panelist in order to be part of the discussion, face-to-face. Please wait for, well, virtual face-to-face. Please wait for permission from the moderator before you open your mic and your video. Of course, please remember to be courteous to all presenters and participants. And don't worry if you miss some things during the presentation. The slides will be shared after the event. And of course, as we said, we will be available to you should you have any additional questions after this session. So today we are going to talk about Horizon Europe. And the great thing about it is open to the world. So it doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter what your nationality is. There are opportunities for you to collaborate, and there are opportunities for you to help, address the Sustainable Development Goals through excellent science and collaborations in research and innovation. So Horizon Europe is the European Union's key funding program for research and innovation. It has a budget of 95.5 billion for the years 2021 and 2027. It tackles climate change, helps to achieve the UN's Sustainable Development Goals, and boosts the EU's competitiveness and growth. The program facilitates international collaboration and strengthens the impact of research and innovation in developing, supporting, and implementing EU policies while tackling global challenges. So just to give you a glimpse about the Horizon Europe structure, I think many of you have attended our info sessions on the European Research Council and the Marie Skłodowska-Curie actions. These are actually under Pillar 1, which is on excellent science. Today, we are going to focus on Pillar 2, which is global challenges and European industrial competitiveness. And under this pillar, there are clusters. You have a cluster on health, you have a cluster on culture, creativity, and inclusive society, a cluster on civil security, for society, digital industry and space, climate, energy, and mobility, food, bioeconomy, natural resources, agriculture, and environment. So there are a lot of clusters there. You also have the Joint Research Center even under Pillar 2. So a lot of moving parts, but for this afternoon, we are going to focus on food, bioeconomy, natural resources, agriculture, and environment. So under Pillar 2 on the clusters, it aims to boost key technologies and solutions underpinning EU policies and sustainable development goals. So you have all of these 6 clusters, and it's a budget of about 53.5 billion. It is important for us to note that Horizon Europe Pillar 2, unlike Pillar 1, offers opportunities for collaborative research between research institutions. So in Pillar 1, usually it's for individual researchers, like the European Research Council gives grants to individual research. And the same is true for the Marie Skłodowska actions. Of course, there is what you call as a staff exchange. There are opportunities for research institutions as well, but for Pillar 2, we are talking about research institutions from Europe and ASEAN getting together, to address, the requirements of the call. So please note that the research consortium is a requirement for all Horizon Europe collaborative projects. And each consortium must be comprised of at least one partner from an EU member state and at least two additional partners, either from the EU member states and or associated countries. So of course, each consortium can add as many third country partners as is deemed necessary for the project. And we are very happy to note that all 10 ASEAN countries are non-EU third countries, and therefore they can, of course, become part of a Horizon Europe Pillar 2 consortia. So just in case you missed the first two sessions, and we also even have a training on how to respond to the call, please just scan the QR code. We are going to send this to you as well. We had a discussion already on the program structure, on the participation modalities for ASEAN countries, the types of funding opportunities, and there was a presentation of specific calls open for ASEAN participation. So we invite you to go back to that, and maybe there is something there also that is of interest. Okay, so what happens next? Of course, we will share the event recording and all presentation slides with all participants after the event. We would like to really request you to please fill in our survey so that we can collect your interest in participating in specific calls, and then we can also identify which areas you need help in and which points we need to bridge so that you can effectively respond to the call. So there are next sessions that are coming up. We will be giving you the dates shortly, and this will be on sustainable energy research and space technology. And so that ends my presentation. I would like now to give the room to my colleague, Dr. Susanna Renzo-Vasu, to bring us to the rest of the parts of the program. Thank you so much. Susanna, the room is yours.
Thank you, Susanna, Senior Chen. Excellency, dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon in Asia and good morning maybe in Europe. It is honor for us, to join the EU-ASEAN collaboration on science and technology. First of all, I would like to welcome our distinguished guest from $1 million Operation Project Manager, Embassy of the Czech Republic to Malaysia, Roberto Canel, Scientific Attaché, Embassy of Italy in Indonesia, Benoit Sauveroche, First Consular Delegate of the EU to Singapore, Dominique Lafley, Science Cooperation Attaché, Embassy of France to Vietnam, Edith Major, Trade Commissioner, Embassy of Belgium, Singapore, Nora Nekadi, Science Cooperation Embassy of France to Vietnam, Nguyen Ngoc An Vu, Cooperation Delegate of the European Union to Vietnam, Julius Tellinger, Advantage Autrians, Singapore, Paula Pascon, Philippine Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Per Christer Land, Norwegian Consular of Science and Technology, Innovation, Norway Embassy of Norway to Singapore, the last Dalila Asu, Manish, Aki Politik, France, and also great pleasure to welcome the scientific committee from ASEAN and EU to join today online webinar. Today, I am great opportunity to for the participant and researcher of ASEAN Research Institute to the call for the proposal under Pillar 2, Horizon Europe. Last 2 years, we faced the COVID-19 pandemic that limit our networking and research activities. I believe that on behalf of ASEAN Research Committee, we as a researcher, scientific research, collaboration, and partnership can bring us closer, and then we can transfer innovative knowledge, technology to ASEAN and help us to achieve development, sustainable development goals in near future. Finally, I would like to thank ASEAN Secretary, Dr. Vani, and RRC's Dr. Jane to make the collaboration happen today. And I claim the opening webinar meeting today. Thank you. And maybe Jane, can you share, the list of our priority?
I'm sorry, Mr. Bolom, I seem to have not received it yet.
By email, maybe.
Okay,
email.
okay. Yeah, please.
Or if not,
continue
I can read out.
Don't worry, please continue your discussion with Susanna while I try to wait. Just, okay, I got it now. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Okay, here you go. There you are.
It's a little bit small. Can you make it bigger? Or?
Yes.
Okay.
There
Thank
you
you. Yeah, thank you so much. This is the priority of subcommittee on food science and technology that we discussed in January this year. And that the priority we want to work with is the first of all is functional food. That a lot of ASEAN, they have rich the culture and food, and then including the unutilized food in ASEAN. And then because we have rich culture, that's why this identification of functional food is the important. And food safety and quality is another challenge for us, because we have a lot of SME in ASEAN, and then the food safety is big challenge, both the regional or national food for consumer. But some country like Laos or other country are challenging if we talk about the export market, because we need at least the EU requirements or global standard to be able to export, and then deal with the SPS, another challenge. And then food innovation and emerging technology, this also the approach that we want to improve in ASEAN. Post-harvest technology is another challenge that maybe is own term, but the problem is still have current challenge in ASEAN. The future food challenge, because now we deal with many imported, or even though new food, fortification food or other, is another topic that we want to work with. And currently, ASEAN also want to join the global trend on sustainable food system, or agroecological safe food system. For example, this is the topic that is deal both from production until the consumption, both food safety, both nutrition, that deal with environment, for example. Smart food packaging and food standard is the challenge also, that we want to deal with traceability, because a lot of niche market or niche product like tea, coffee, that EU need organic, for example. But in ASEAN, we have the small scale how we can link the small farmer to the global market or to the national market. This is our priority. Of course, that we cannot push on just because of COVID that we cannot do face-to-face, just online meeting. Maybe in near future, I think the entry point for ASEAN that we can work with. I think that we petty cover on the topic that Europe want to work with. And then thank you so much. If you have any question, I can answer some, but if I cannot, I will take the question and bring to our committee. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Boulom. Of course, a very rich array of potential opportunities for collaboration. And I'm sure specifically our colleagues from the EU embassies that are in the room have taken note of the focus areas of the subcommittee. We're just giving people maybe a couple of minutes to see whether they have any specific questions for you, but I'm sure they'll be able to also reach out to you after the session to investigate where the entry points are, maybe also for bilateral cooperation with individual EU member countries. Now, I don't think anyone has any immediate questions. Thank you so much. Now, listening to you, of course, I already noted that there's a lot of resemblance of what the subcommittee does with what we will find in the Horizon Europe work program. And our next speaker, Serena Bolgner, is going to share with us some of the concrete opportunities to collaborate in these fields that Mr. Boulom just highlighted in his presentation. Our next speaker is Ms. Serena Bolgner, and she is joining us from Italy. We just heard it's incredibly hot there. She is the head of APRI, which is the Agency for the Promotion of European Research, and she's been the head of the Institutional Activities Department since 2019. She has a vast experience in facilitating collaboration in the areas of environment, bioeconomy, frontier research sectors, etc. She has been the national contact point, which is a European-wide and global network of experts on the EU research framework programs for Horizon 2020 already, but of course now she is working for the current framework program, Horizon and Europe, and she's currently coordinating the APRI competence team on Cluster 6, which is dealing with food, bioeconomy, natural resources, agriculture, and the environment. She has been involved in several European projects, many of which also had or have an international dimension. So she worked with India, she worked in the food sector, and she's also designed some large-scale project to involve the participation of SMEs and interaction in the framework program. She is a specialist in Horizon Europe. So she is the perfect person for us to give us an introduction to that specific cluster in Horizon Europe, and also to detail for us some of the concrete openings for ASEAN research entities to collaborate with European partners. Now, the floor is yours, Serena.
Thank you very much, Susanne, and thank you for this introduction and for inviting me. So this is also for Jenny that asked me to participate. So my role today is to give you a very fast overview about the opportunities that are inside the Cluster 6 of Horizon Europe, that is dedicated to food, bioeconomy, natural resources, agriculture, and environment. We call this part of Horizon Europe program Cluster 6. It is our acronym to a better recognition of the sectors. So first of all, I would like to take again a few words about the importance of international cooperation for Horizon Europe. Horizon Europe is the most relevant program, European program in research and innovation, and it is a program open to international cooperation. It means that researchers and innovators from around the globe are encouraged to participate together with the European partner in preparing proposals and implementing projects. We have several sectors where international cooperation is relevant, and Cluster 6 is part of the most interesting sector for international cooperation, in particular in the area of ocean research, Earth observation, and also in the food destination of Cluster 6 of Horizon Europe. Just to give you just few words about the rules, all third countries entity are eligible to participate in Horizon Europe. The difference is between entities that came from low, middle, or high income third countries. For example, inside Horizon Europe, the reimbursement, the funding is available only for low, middle income third countries. For the other one, they can participate, but the funding should came from own budget. So in this slide, you can find some information about that. In any case, we can find in Horizon Europe several topics that try to encourage the international cooperation. And when we find this word inside the description of the opportunity, it's very welcomed, the participation of third country, in order to give added value to the proposal that are made jointly by European partner and international cooperation entities. There are also some third countries where there is a fixed co-funding mechanism already set, where the national authority from that country already established how to require their own funding from the third country's authority. In any case, when going to participate, don't require any funding, you are entitled inside the Horizon Europe project as associated partner. It means that you can participate, but you are not going to get funding from European Commission. You cannot coordinate the project, but you can lead the work package, or you can be a partner inside this project. Means partner, it's that you can take some activities under your responsibility and to work together with other partners coming from Europe or other third countries in finalize some results and activities described inside the proposal. Just to give you an overview about the third country participation inside Cluster 6, you can see that we have inside Cluster 6 some topics that are flagged for international cooperation. In that topic, we can find more about the 20% of participants that came from third country entities. So it is very important the cooperation between the European and not European entities inside Cluster 6. For this reason, inside Cluster 6, we have a lot of opportunities that explicitly are fixed for international cooperation, and where the international cooperation is encouraged. It means that the 28% of the topic inside Cluster 6 encourage the international cooperation, so the cooperation between European and third country entities inside the project proposal. Here you can see also the comparison with other clusters of Horizon Europe, and you can see that Cluster 6 is the cluster with the highest percentage of international cooperation topic in Pillar 2. So it's the cluster more open to international cooperation inside the Pillar 2 of Horizon Europe. You can see here some numbers, some figures about the presence of topics flagged for international cooperation in the previous work program and in the current work program. For example, you can see that around 50 topics foreseen international cooperation. Some of them are open to specific countries, other topics are open to a general cooperation in international aspects and in international connection between a European and not European organization. Just to give you now an overview of the Cluster 6, So we are now going more into the details of the opportunities that are offered by this cluster. We can see that the areas covered by cluster 6 are very big. We start from some topics more close to environment and natural resources like biodiversity and also better managing of natural resources. And then we have another part of funding opportunities open to food and nutrition security, and that take into consideration a strong interest for circular economy, sustainable bioeconomy, and also some area of activities linked with the forestry sector. For cluster 6 is very important following the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, but it's also very important the connection with the European Green Deal policies that is linked to the green transition toward a climate neutral continent in the next year. Inside this European Green Deal policy, we have some relevant strategy at European and international level. One of the most relevant strategy for the food sector is the farm to fork strategy, but also the food 2030 strategy that are keen in better understand why some opportunities are available in the current work program, in the current calls for proposals. Here you can see an overview of the different sectors covered by cluster 6 with the budget foreseen for the entire Horizon Europe. So we have more or less 9 billion euro of funding for 7 years, mainly dedicated to the cluster 6 work program. Plus, inside this area, we can cover also some partnership like Circular Bio-Based Europe and also the European mission in ocean and soil. But the Circular Bio-Based Europe and the mission are not a core topic for today. There will be other occasions for giving you more information. I'm going more into the details of the cluster 6 and in particular into the most relevant details inside the 7 destinations of the work program. What are the destinations? Are some macro area of activities foreseen inside the cluster 6 where the European Commission is going to collect several opportunities that have a specific impact towards the European Union and the global policy. So in the left part of the slide, you can see the most relevant impact foreseen in the first 4 years of Horizon Europe, and in the right side of the slides, you can see the 7 destinations of the cluster 6 that are going to collect all the funding opportunities foreseen in for this year. When I'm discussing about this year, I mean the 2024 calls, because in this moment, the work program 2023 is already closed, but we are now in a new wave of funding opportunities that have a code in the work program stated with 2024. So the deadlines for these calls are foreseen in February next year. We have more or less more than 70 topics for this annuality of the work program, with more or less 1 billion euro of funding for 2024. Inside the slide, you can also download the work program that is also available in the funding and the portal that show you all the funding opportunities foreseen inside this cluster 6. Here you can see the different call for 2024. So the opening is in autumn of this year, and the deadline will be in February. Here you can see the different destination with the different calls foreseen and the several deadlines. So this slide gives you a general overview about the sector and the calls that are going to be open in autumn this year. We have several topics for the different destination. The most relevant topic are inside the farm to fork area, so the destination number 2, destination number 3 about economy, destination number 7 about governance, and destination 1 about biodiversity. You can also see in this slide the budget dedicated to each destination, just to give you an idea about the strategy and the challenge that the Commission put inside each destination of Cluster 6. Just to give you an idea about the different type of action foreseen for the World Program in 2024, it's reported in this graph that we will have a huge amount of research and innovation action and innovation action in the next World Program. When I talk about research and innovation action, it means that any entities coming from European Union member state, associated country, but also low and medium income third countries can receive the 100% of the cost as a reimbursement, because the actions are more close to research. When you look at the gray part of this cake, we are referring to the innovation action that are a kind of action more close to the market, so more close to innovation inside Horizon Europe. In this case, the organization, the profit organization that are eligible for funding will receive not the 100% of funding, but the 70% of funding inside the topic. These yields of 70% stated only for the profit organization, for the profit entities. For the not-profit, it's the same yields of co-funding till the 100% of the real cost of the project. So it's very interesting for all the organization, this program. Coming back to the international aspect inside Cluster 6, you can see here the distribution of INCO, international cooperation flagged topic for each kind of action. So innovation action, research and innovation action, and coordination and support action, and also the distribution for the entire World Program 2023-2024 for its destination for the topic flagged for international cooperation. In this slide, I prepared for you more details about the INCO topics for each area. So now I'm going to show you for each destination of Horizon Europe the most relevant topic, and I highlighted for you the topic where international cooperation at general level is encouraged. So it could be very useful for you for try to understand where your organization can be part of potential proposal that are going to be funded by European Commission. If you see at the number of the right side of the slide, you can see that the two relevant destinations with more interest for international cooperation are the destination number 1 about biodiversity and ecosystem services, and destination number 2 about food system and farm to fork strategy. So from the primary production to the consumption. Here you can see some thematic area. It is an extraction coming from the World Program that are more relevant for international cooperation. Here you can see just a summarization made by us as national contact point. And from the next slide, you can see more details for each destination with the detailed topic of interest for international cooperation. Starting from the first area that is related to biodiversity and ecosystem services, you can see from this general slide the most relevant expected impact in the long term for the proposal that you are going to submit. And inside this slide, you can see all the topics foreseen for this work program 2024. You can see two different calls. The first one, for the first one, the deadline is at the end of February next year, and it is foreseen a single stage submission. So it means that the consortium should submit the proposal of 45 pages by this deadline. You can see 8 topics that are part of this area for the 2024, and then 5 topics here highlighted required international cooperation. Usually the European Commission uses the sentence international cooperation is encouraged or international cooperation is strongly encouraged. So in this area, areas are very open to international cooperation. In the table, you can see also in the column on the right side of the slide, the type of action, and also you can see the budget foreseen for each proposal in the second column, and in the third one, the budget reserved for the entire topic. The last column informs you about the number of proposals that will be funded. It is an interesting number because show you the possibility and the level of competitiveness inside this area. So you can see here inside the biodiversity, these 5 topics strongly focus of international cooperation. And in the second part of the slide, in the bottom part of the slide, you can see other topics that foresee a double stage submission. It means that the coordinator have you send out a short proposal by the first deadline. If this proposal is evaluated in a positive way, it will be called for a second submission, so for the entire submission of the project by middle of September next year. The destination number 2 is dedicated to the food system, and the most relevant strategy is the farm to fork strategy and the food 2030 strategy. Here you can see the most relevant areas and impacts of interest for the destination number 2. And here you can see the list of topics foreseen for the next year. Inside this area, 4 topics are very focused on international cooperation. Some of them have a peculiar area of interest, that is Africa. So as you can see from the 2 last topics inside the slide, and the topic number 7 and number 9 are open to a general international cooperation, especially the topic on microbiome, because it is a very important topic for global cooperation, and so not only at European level, but at international level. You can see also other areas of activities inside the destination farm to fork. The table follows the same approach. So in the first column, you can find the type of action. In the second one, the budget dedicated to each proposal. In the third one, the budget covered for the topics, the entire topics. And in the last column, the number of projects that will be funded. Here you can find other topics in the same destination, farm to fork, open to international cooperation. In particular, these topics foreseen a double stage submission. So in February, you should submit together with other European partner a short proposal of 10 pages. And if your proposal is good evaluated, you will be called to submit the entire proposal by middle of September next year. In the circular bioeconomy area, we have also 1 topic open to international cooperation. It is a research and innovation action about the biodegradation, but you can also see other topics of interest. Please consider that around the circular bioeconomy area, we have also the institutionalized partnership funded by the European Commission and also some private organization that is called Circular Bio-Based Europe. It is part of Horizon Europe, but but have some specific requirements, because the call under the Circular Bio-Based Europe foreseen a strong interest coming from the European industry sector, so are less open to international cooperation compared with the topics that are now that I'm now showing you. Here you can find another circular bioeconomy topics open to international cooperation, and in this case we have a double stage submission, and it is about water and waste water management. It is an innovation action that foreseen 5 million euro of funding for each proposal. Now we are in the area of clean environment and zero pollution. Here we can find just one topic, that is a coordination and sub-protection open to international cooperation about raw material. Please consider that coordination and sub-protection don't foresee any research activities, but aim to coordinate some part and also put together best practice mapping database coming from European and not European countries. So in specific coordination and sub-protection don't foresee any research and innovation activities, but only some supporting activity and coordination activities between different organizations in European and not European countries. The 5 destination, it's about land and climate action. Here we can find a couple of topics open to international cooperation. One of them is about ocean models, and the second one it is in particular open to international cooperation with China about Earth observation. In the destination number 6, it is a more European, please let me this kind of wording, area, because it is dedicated to rural, coastal, and urban communities. And here we can find just a couple of topics open to international cooperation, in particular on Arctic area, and then another topics in double stage submission that is related to new sustainable business and production models for farmers and rural communities. And in these topics, we can also see a strong activity also with African continent. Then we are now going to analyze the last destination of cluster 6, that is about innovative governance, environmental observation, and digital solution. Here we can find some cross-cutting cooperation between several areas of science and technology, like space, ICT, together with the food sector. And here we can find several topics. A couple of them had also foreseen a cooperation with third countries, and especially the second one about regional ecosystem of innovation to foster the food system transformation. The majority of the topics inside the governance destination are coordination and sub-protection. So these topics don't foresee any research and innovation activities. Just to finalize my presentation, I would like to inform you that European Commission planned an event in Brussels for presenting the Work Programme 2024 opportunities. The event will be at the end of September. It will be on site, the info day, but the Commission would like also to stream this event, so the registration will be also available online for the applicants that are not coming in Brussels. back to back with the Info Day, the national contact point of Horizon Europe are also organizing a brokerage event that will be physical, this brokerage event, in order to fix some cooperation between several European and not European partners that are interested in submit a project proposal inside the Work Program 2024. So if someone of you would like to be in Brussels at the end of September, there will be also these opportunities in order to create some bilateral cooperation for having more knowledge about the potential consortia that are going to submit under the Work Program 2024. Just my last slide, that it's an information useful for all of you, because the European Commission funded this action, this project that is called the Care for Bio, and it is the network of the national contact point for cluster 6. The national contact points are nominated at national level, not only in Europe, but also in some third countries. And the objective of the national contact point is to give information, assistance, and training to all the applicants that are interested in having more details on how to participate in cluster 6. So this project is also have also some activities dedicated to the applicants in cluster 6, like training, workshop, fact sheet, documentation, organizational brokerage event, and workshop. And you also, as organization coming from ASEAN countries, can be receive these services that are free of charge. So you can connect to our webpage to have more information about services, events, activities that the national contact point are organized, not only for the national contact point communities, but also for the research and innovation communities in Europe and around the world. So now I'm going to close my presentation. I would like to thank you again. And if you have some question or if you need more clarification, you can also contact me. So thank you very much for your presence during this event. And thank you again, Susanne and Gianni, for inviting me.
Thank you so much, Serena, for a fantastic presentation. And I think all of us should be incredibly inspired. I was just taking note of some of the facts that you presented to us, with 1/3 of the calls earmarked for international collaboration. That, of course, is fantastic news. And I'm sure we've all noted the very close overlap between the thematic focus areas that Dr. Boulom presented at the beginning, and of course the opportunities that Serena just detailed to us. And before we start our engagement with the audience, we'd like to perhaps invite Dr. Boulom to give us a little bit of his initial feedback on the opportunities that he sees, and maybe also the kind of support that the committee can offer.
Thank you, Susan. I think that there is great opportunity that EU can build this type of opportunity. I think that our committee cover nearly all, and then especially in fact that in our committee they have university that work on science and technology, and other part like a research institute, they also work on food system and agriculture, including the nutrition, including the food security, for example. I think that the great opportunity, and then I will bring this, let's say the PowerPoint, and then your information to our committees. And I think that, the first challenge for us, that how we can link, EU partners, and then our ASEAN, because our ASEAN itself very diverse. And then of course we are in the committee, but in the subcommittee itself, they have many organizations in a country, for example. That I think the challenge for us, how we can bring this partner together to the core. I think is the first challenge for the committee have to work with. And then with the deadline, February, yes, some date, but the proposal is different level, 10 pages and 40 pages is big challenge. So that's why if the EU can tolerate and then keep I think that one experience that I work with ASEAN, with the ASEAN Japan, I think the ECS is the create one funding, the one topic that all the ASEAN country can join, and then it give more chance that we can involve, and then they can answer to the sustainable development goal. But there are many topics. That's why I think that this I think hard work for ASEAN to join, but it's good opportunity for us to link to EU. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much. And of course, as you correctly identified, the key obstacles is to make that connection to the European collaborators, because as we've heard, and this also answers some of the questions that are coming in through the chat, this is an opportunity for collaborative research, which means you must reach out to collaborators in Europe to form a consortium. So these are not calls where you apply as an institution in ASEAN on your own, but you must have European partners. And of course, Jenny and myself are here to support you in that effort. We've already posted in the chat a link to a survey. If you have time, just fill in your details, and Jenny and I will try our best to help you connect to European partners. But maybe Serena, you could also give us a little bit of an idea as an NCP. Besides participating, of course, in the information day, which has a matchmaking element to it, what else should interested participants do? What should be the first steps in your view?
These events are very important because you can be in an event where the most relevant actors at European level are going to submit a proposal inside Horizon Europe. So the participation inside the brokerages event, it's very key if you are a newcomer inside the program and you would like to follow EU entities in submitting a proposal. So in my opinion, the info day, it's very interesting for better understanding what the European Commission would like from the proposal, and the brokerages event, it's relevant for staying in touch with the most relevant European and not European actors.
Thank you so much indeed. So you should make time for this. This is a hybrid event. You don't have to be in Brussels, I believe.
I'm not sure still now, because the European Commission would like to is going to organize the info day and the brokerage event on site. But I suppose that the European Commission is going to record this different session and to keep it available also for other participants that cannot be in presence in Brussels. And also the brokerage event will see probably, but I can give you this information in a few weeks, is going to open the platform after the physical event also to additional bilateral cooperation that are made online and not on site. So this matchmaking platform give you also the possibility to virtually meet in a specific room that are not inside the European Commission building, but inside this B2Match tool online.
Thank you so much. So as we've heard, there are events and online tools that you can use to get in touch. We, Jenny and myself, of course, will share all of this information with all of you in the coming days. So don't worry. We would like now someone who we've been working with very closely is Tatas Portosudamo. Tatas has been working with Euraxis for a very long time, and he's actually been the chair of the inaugural Marie Curie Alumni Association. Tatas, please.
Yeah, thank you very much, Susan, for giving me the opportunity in this session. So my name is Tatas Portosudamo. I am biochemist from Indonesia. I've been working as researchers in Europe through Marie Curie, and then also spent my time as senior researcher as a Humboldtian, Alexander van Humboldt. Then I returned back to Indonesia. Here, my field is related to food. I'm now in the food technologies and working mainly with the functional food and food analysis. And this is actually very interesting calls. So that when I return back and how to bridge again research with European partner, I think I thank you for this opportunity, and I also got links from Susan. I will send the all details because I would like to make a new networks with Europe, something like that, because different field I did different field more into physical chemistry, something like that. So I want to use that in application to the food itself, which I'm doing right now. So yeah, I think this is very great opportunity, and also yeah, all the information from Serena. Thank you very much for that information. Perhaps the questions will be has been raised from Mr. Olom. Is actually how can the collaboration be formed in terms of compositions of the team. That this will be very important as well. I don't know, because I think it has to be multidisciplinary or something like that. And I think the project leaders should be from the European side. But how can we form this in unity from different researchers, also from ASEAN, not only. In my mind, maybe I have to collaborate with others from not only Indonesia, but also others ASEAN countries and also Europe.
Thank you, Tata. Serena, would you like to respond to that?
Yes, usually the leader of the project that is called coordinator is European, so it is their rules. So we should have at least 3 entities coming from different member states and associated country, of which at least 1 from a member states. After reaching this requirement from the rules, you can add other partners. Usually the project have a different size, a different dimension in the partnership. We have project with 10 partners, project with 20 or 30, but depends on the dimension of the proposal and of the cooperation that the topic required. Usually the European, the Horizon Europe, and especially the Cluster 6 topics foreseen a multidisciplinary cooperation. It means that we can have inside the consortium university, research center, private sector like SMEs, but also big industry, and also representative from civil society. So the composition of the consortium is very wide. Competencies inside the consortium. We don't need only scientific and technological competencies, but we need and we have to read the topic for better understanding, but we can need also some competencies coming from economics, from psychology, from social behavior, and so on. But we have to read carefully the topic for better understanding the kind of competence that the European Commission expects for solving the challenges that is stated inside the topic of Cluster 6.
Thank you so much. Does that answer your question, Tatas? I think it's
yes,
a very good.
Yes, it's very good answer, and also very clear on the compositions of the the team, and also I'm very thank you because there is also opportunity for the private sectors, for example, like industry and so on. Yeah, can join this because as a researchers, we also have a connection for as a food technologies, yeah, food science, and also have connections with the industry and how this can be formed in the more coherent team. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And I think you've also answered some of the questions that have come in from the chat, namely whether it has to be a university in Europe, but as you've already indicated, Horizon Europe, and these calls are open to research actors from all different sectors. And in fact, that makes, we believe, the proposal a lot stronger if you bring in people with expertise from different sectors. I think we've pretty much reached the end of today's session, but we just like to remind you that we have held a session at the very beginning of the series where we were detailing the modalities of participation, and we had a training developed by our colleague Dalibor specifically for ASEAN researchers. All these training tools are available on our YouTube page, so you can look at these trainings again and familiarize yourselves with the modalities. But just maybe to summarize, Horizon Europe is open to participants from anywhere in the world. There is a requirement from a research consortium, which means you must have European partners. Jenny and myself are here to help you get in touch with European partners. And I think what Tata suggested, to perhaps create some form of ASEAN network where people also share expertise and perhaps also share their international connections, yeah, that other people can use to perhaps get an entry point into Horizon Europe. So these are great opportunities. We'd like to hear from you, Tatas. We'd very much like to support that. And I think with this, I will hand back to Jenny to do the closing remarks of the session. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sana, and thank you so much to our incredible speaker, Serena, and of course, Mr. Bolum, representing the ASEAN COSTI Subcommittee on Food Technology, and all of you participants. Most of all, we also would like to thank the ASEAN Secretariat, represented today by Dr. Vani Narita, and of course, their head, Dr. Zorina Mokhtar. Thank you so much for this partnership. We will continue with the next session, so please keep in touch with us, and we will send, don't worry, we will send the presentations, of course. Please do answer the survey so we can respond to you much better. And of course, also to our partners in Europe, thank you so much for joining us. So that's our afternoon. All the best to you all, and please keep in touch. Bye-bye, everybody. Thank you. Thank you, Vani.
Thank you, Jenny, Susan, and everyone.
Hello. Thank you, Fanny.
Thank you.